The dark sides of living in Ireland is quite significant. Ireland is a European country known for its high GDP per capita and breathtaking natural beauty. The people are generally friendly and welcoming. However, there are some challenges that people face here, leading to 70% of young individuals considering leaving the country. The main reason for this is the economic situation, which is not as favorable as one might expect. In addition to the economic concerns, there are other difficult aspects of living in Ireland. The weather can be harsh and the smoking bans are quite strict. How did these challenges come about? What are the negative aspects of Ireland? Let's explore the 15 reasons why young people choose to leave. Number 15. Ireland's infrastructure. It's no secret that in many ways, Ireland struggles with poor management when it comes to public services. Building roads and improving infrastructure has been a challenge for them, and it seems like not much progress has been made. If you want to get from one place to another in a reasonable amount of time, having your own car is pretty much a must. But here's the catch. Cars are expensive and traffic is a constant headache. Now, Ireland does have buses, trains, airports, and electric trains in Dublin City that cover the whole country. But if you live outside those areas, you're pretty much out of luck. Suburban areas of Dublin have terrible roads and unreliable bus and train schedules, making it a struggle for locals to commute to work every day. And don't even get me started on rush hour. It's the time of day when everyone in Ireland seems to be on the move and traffic becomes a nightmare. You'll feel like you're standing still even when you're on the road to your university. Forget about Uber too, because it's not available in Ireland. Instead, you'll have to rely on your own car, taxis, or public transportation. There's a taxi service called Fro that works like Uber, so you can give that a try if you're not keen on calling a regular taxi. When it comes to internet and mobile communication, things can get pricey and frustrating outside of major cities like Dublin. Sometimes you might even lose your connection altogether along the way. The government promises that they're working on providing internet access throughout the country, but for now, it's just a promise. Oh, and speaking of water, Ireland doesn't have water taxes, which is good news. However, in some areas, the water supply systems haven't been updated for decades, which means that tap water isn't drinkable. So you'll have to find alternative sources of drinking water in those places. Number 14. Ireland isn't as rich as it seems. Despite having a high per capita GDP, Ireland's actual wealth is not as impressive as you might think. The average salary in Ireland is lower than in many other countries, even though the GDP suggests otherwise. The reason for this is that lots of big multinational companies are based in Ireland, but their profits don't actually come from Irish businesses. They just move their money around to take advantage of Ireland's tax system. So, Ireland's economy looks good on paper, but it doesn't necessarily mean the people are rich. Most Irish folks aren't working for big tech companies like Google. Those companies only employ a small number of highly skilled workers from other countries. The average Irish worker earns less, especially compared to the US. In fact, wages in Ireland are relatively low. For example, a software developer in Ireland makes around €62,500, while in the US they make about $156,800. Also, Ireland has a huge national debt, but it often gets overlooked because it's reported in relation to the GDP, which is artificially inflated, so Ireland might not be as wealthy as it appears at first glance. Number 13. Living expenses in Ireland. Ireland is quite famous for its high cost of living. It is ranked as the second most expensive country in the EU when it comes to the prices of goods and services, with costs exceeding the average by 34%. If you are moving from the UK, you may already be accustomed to high prices, but Ireland is even more expensive, with prices being 21% higher than the average in the UK. Things like car insurance, fuel, and mortgages are incredibly costly in this country. The fuel tax in Ireland is very steep, over 50%, which drives up the price of petrol. While prices can vary depending on where you are, filling up your gas tank in Ireland can cost you twice as much as it would in the US. Unfortunately, even crossing the border to Northern Ireland won't save you money on fuel, as prices there are also high. On average, a driver using petrol in Ireland spends around €2,189 per year just on fuel. In general, you can expect to pay about €1.80 for a liter of petrol. To give you some perspective, this price is nearly double what you would pay in the US. What are your thoughts on the cost of living and fuel prices in Ireland? Feel free to share your opinions in the comment section below. Issue number 12. Housing crisis. Ireland has been dealing with a big problem in recent times, and that's the lack of affordable housing. The government's policies have made it hard for developers to build homes, especially in crowded cities where people often protest against new construction. As a result, there's a severe shortage of houses in Ireland. Most people can't afford to buy or rent a place to live, and the situation is getting worse. In 2022, there were only 851 properties available for rent in the entire country, which has a population of 5.1 million. This has led to some strange scenes of long queues on Dublin streets as people try to buy houses. The government has promised to address this crisis, but so far not much has changed. As you can imagine, the housing shortage has caused prices to skyrocket. It's really expensive to find a place to live, especially in Dublin, where the prices are the highest. Renting a two-bedroom apartment in the suburbs can cost around €2,000 per month. Many students end up sharing rooms with friends to save money, and even then, it can be quite costly. In Dublin, you might have to pay $2,100 per month, and in smaller towns, it's often around $1,500. Housing prices in Ireland keep going up every year. It's also challenging to get a mortgage, especially if you're not from Ireland. Banks see foreigners as risky borrowers, so they might offer higher interest rates or make it harder for them to qualify for a loan. Number 11, waiting a long time for healthcare. In Ireland, everyone who lives there can get healthcare, but there is a big problem. It takes a long time to get medical procedures done. If you have a non-life-threatening problem and need urgent care, you might have to wait for around 10 to 14 hours. The reason for this long wait is that the national healthcare system is always in a crisis, because there are too many people needing care, not enough money, and many doctors leaving to work in other English-speaking countries. It's not just Ireland that has these problems, though. It's hard to find a doctor or dentist in Ireland. The hospitals are not great either. I know someone who went to the hospital, waited in pain for 5 hours, and finally gave up because there were no doctors available. If you need to go to the hospital, it's better to use private healthcare services. Number 10. Irish folks love using slang when they talk. Ireland is an English-speaking country, but there's more to the language here. The Irish Constitution says that Irish is the first official language, and it's a must-learn subject in schools. Although most people speak English, some areas, especially on the West Coast, consider Irish their main language. And in everyday conversations, Irish people use a lot of slang. Instead of asking, "How are you?" they might greet you with, "Hey, what's cracking?" So if you hear that, just know they're being polite and asking how you're doing. Another interesting thing is how they use the word grand. It has different meanings depending on the situation, like thank you, perfect, okay, don't worry, and more. Number 9. Not many jobs are available outside of Dublin. Dublin has lots of job opportunities because it's a successful capital city that attracts people from all over the country. There are also better education and job options here. Many big companies have their main offices here, especially since Dublin has direct flights to major cities in Europe and the East Coast of the United States. It's an international city with lots of stores, entertainment, restaurants, and tourism, so there are plenty of jobs available. Dublin has the most job opportunities, and currently 2 million people live here, which is 40% of the country's total population. However, outside of the busy capital of Ireland, there aren't many job prospects. Rural areas in Ireland have been really affected by the recession, so many young people have left smaller towns and villages to either move abroad or go to bigger cities like Dublin. These smaller places are slowly recovering, but there are fewer jobs in factories and business activities, which means there aren't many job opportunities. Reason number 8. Avoiding discussions about religion and politics is highly advised in Ireland. Due to the country's history, there have been conflicts between Protestants and Catholics, and the Irish hold strong opinions on these matters. It's best to steer clear of these topics when engaging in conversations with locals. It's also important to note that the Irish tend to use a lot of swearing in their speech. However, this is not meant to offend, but rather adds color and diversity to the language. The Irish have a humorous perspective on life and don't focus on formality. If you interact with locals, expect some friendly teasing. Just go along with it and you'll have a great time. Number 7. Ireland's approach to marriage. Something interesting about marriage in Ireland is that they don't handle divorce cases. However, this doesn't mean that Irish couples are stuck together forever. Marriage in Ireland has a specific duration, ranging from 1 year to 100 years. Both parties can negotiate the length of their marriage, anywhere from 1 to 100 years. Once the agreed-upon period is over, They can decide whether to extend their marriage or go their separate ways. The termination of the marital relationship happens when the agreed duration ends. If they still want to be together, they can continue extending their marriage even after the initial period. What are your thoughts on this unique approach in Ireland? Share your opinions below. Number 6. Drinking culture in Ireland. Do any of you enjoy drinking? If you do, then you'll love Ireland. The Irish have a deep love for their pubs, which are a significant part of the country's charm. But if you're not into drinking, you might find Ireland to be a bit surprising. Alcohol has been ingrained in Irish culture since ancient times. In Ireland, it's common to go to the pub after work, watch the sunset with a drink, or even toast to someone's life after they pass away. If you don't embrace pub culture, living in Ireland might be challenging for you. According to Preco 19 alcohol consumption statistics, 44% of Irish adults drink alcohol at least once a week, and the average Irish person consumes 10 liters of alcohol per year. However, the joy of drinking has dampened as alcohol prices have significantly increased in recent years. The minimum unit pricing policy implemented in 2022 set a floor price of over $1 for every 10 grams of alcohol, making Ireland the most expensive country for alcohol in Europe. Additionally, Ireland also has the highest alcohol tax in Europe. Number 5. Challenging to connect with Irish people. The Irish people are really friendly, but it takes time to build a strong bond with them. They are quite attached to their family and friends back home, so they might not be too interested in making friends with foreigners, especially in smaller villages where everyone knows each other. Becoming a part of the community can be quite challenging. On the flip side, the Irish have a tendency to gossip, and it can be tough to deal with. In big cities, this is less of a problem since not everyone knows each other. But small towns and villages are known for their gossip sessions, where people gather to chat about the latest news. This can be irritating for anyone living in Ireland, especially if you don't want to hear the latest rumors every day, or worse, if you become the subject of those rumors. Issue number 4. Ireland prohibits smoking. Ireland was the first country in the world to pass a strict law against smoking in 2004. Those caught smoking in workplaces can face a fine of up to $3,347. In 2007, a nationwide ban on smoking in public places, including bars, restaurants, and parks, was put into effect. Ireland believes that this ban will not only discourage smoking in crowded areas, but also help smokers quit. If someone wants to smoke in a pub, they have to go outside in the cold, which is inconvenient and reduces smoking. Furthermore, in 2020, Ireland introduced the Public Health Act, which forbids the sale of nicotine products like vapes to those under 18. Selling such products to children is now considered a crime that can be punished with a fine of up to €4,000 or a prison sentence of up to 6 months. Number 3. Challenging weather conditions. Similar to the United Kingdom, Ireland experiences wet and windy weather throughout the year. Earthquakes and storms are very rare in Ireland. However, if you plan to live in Dublin, Derry, Cork, or Kerry, be prepared for wet and rainy weather, as these areas are close to the sea, which makes the weather extremely damp. The frequent rain and wind from the ocean also bring fog. Winters are mild with occasional snowfall. During summer, temperatures average between 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit, so don't expect bikini weather, even if you live near the coast. Ireland's weather is also unpredictable, meaning you may witness a sunny sky and a heavy downpour in the same day or even the same afternoon. However, when a storm arrives, it usually doesn't last long, sometimes lasting only a few minutes or a few hours. Number 2. Celebrating Christmas with straw outfits. For more than 400 years, actors in silent theater shows in Ireland have been dressing up in straw outfits during Christmas. They go from house to house performing plays, reciting poems, singing, and even dancing. However, this tradition started to fade away in the mid-1900s due to societal divisions. These theater actors have a spooky appearance with their hidden faces, ragged costumes, and a stick in hand. They visit different homes and put on their performances. Some families warmly welcome them, but there are also those who dislike them and even avoid them because they find their appearance frightening, which can scare children away. However, for the elderly, especially during Christmas, when they get to watch these performances, it brings immense happiness and transports them back to ancient times with the sounds of ringing bells, banjo tunes, flute melodies, and the mysterious gaze behind those straw masks, a special aspect from the past. So anyone witnessing this scene in Ireland during the holidays shouldn't be afraid. Number 1. Getting a driver's license in Ireland is really complicated. Even if you're a good driver with a clean record, it's still difficult. If you're lucky and come from a country whose license is recognized in Ireland, you're fine. But for people from the US or Brazil, it's a nightmare. You have to take a written test, learn to drive, and pass a driving test to be allowed to drive here. The system is overloaded, so each step can take months. Car insurance is also very expensive, especially in the first year. Despite these challenges, Ireland is still a great place to live. It has a good education, a safe environment, and plenty of job opportunities. So we've talked about the downsides of Ireland. What do you think? Have you experienced anything in Ireland yet? Share your thoughts with us. Thanks for watching our video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. See you in the next one.